back, everyone, to our Groundskeeper Chat series. I'm your host, Meg Kruger, coming live to you from Columbus, Ohio at the OTF conference. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Christopher Bell.
Hello.
Are you impressed by my ability to just spew that off? Because it gets weirder every time.
It does. It gets weird every time. And you always use my birth name, my full name, which I always think it's my mom yelling at me. I think I've mentioned that. But
So I have no idea what this will sound like by the end of the day, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, we will introduce our next guest, Mr. Andrew Northeim of the Columbus Crew.
Correct.
Columbus Crew. Yep. So what is your official title now? Because like we were just talking about, we haven't caught up with you since Savannah.
Yeah, so my official title now is I'm the Senior Head Groundskeeper of the Ohio Health Performance Center.
Okay.
It's a lot. Usually it's just acronym OHPC.
Okay.
So you'll probably hear a lot of me talking today. So
Very
just
cool.
OHPC.
So there's the new Crew Stadium.
Correct.
Then there's the old Crew Stadium, which is, I'm assuming, very event-based now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so our new stadium is where my boss, Ben Jackson, works out of, and that is now Scott's Miracle Grow Field.
Okay.
Newly announced within the last week or two.
Okay,
now.
very cool.
And then I'm based down of the Ohio Health Performance Center, which also houses historic Crew Stadium. So,
Okay. So it's the fields that are outside of the old historic.
Correct.
Okay, I can visualize this all now.
Yep.
Very cool. And so I assume that you live then in Columbus?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So for me, always driving into Columbus, it's like, you've made it once you pass the Crew Stadium. Yep. And so that being like your mothership of sorts, and you also work there, I'm sure is a very cool thing.
yes, very cool, because everyone's like, oh, you work at the Crew Stadium. And I'm like, well, which one are you talking about? Because we are gracious enough to have two stadiums.
Yes, so cool. Well, and I think I always, especially with folks that work in research or on the university side, I'm like, I will just say like, okay, they work at this school, because it's like, I don't even know how to describe what they do. But I can imagine with you as well. It's like, oh, I work for the Columbus Crew, and who knows what people come up with in their head. But then also for you to be like, oh, I specifically work on the fields that the players train on.
Yep.
I'm sure that's a whole nother barrier to get over when talking to people.
Yeah, I would say it's a big barrier, because it's not only the training fields that I work on. We also have 3 turf fields out there, and one of those is the historic Crew Stadium field, which is still used for our second team. Newly announced this upcoming year, we'll have the UFL based down of there.
Okay.
We have a lot of high school sports, football, lacrosse, other things like that. And then on top of that, throughout the whole season, we have a bunch of concerts thrown in there. So everyone's like, oh, you get some off time in the wintertime. And I'm like,
not even close.
We have a 24/7 facility there, because on top of that, in the wintertime, the turf field at Historic Crew Stadium gets a bubble over it.
I was just going to ask you that. I saw it today.
Yep. So it just went up last week. Our teams will be in there hopefully this weekend, and then we have camps throughout the winter, and then our teams are able to train indoors all winter.
That's
so
full field covered?
Yep, full field. Yep.
Dude, so I went to Cleveland State, and we had the dome, and I always remember that. But that is insane, because it like so much of your job is just like event management in a sense.
Correct. Yeah, it's a lot nowadays. It's a lot of looking at schedules, figuring out when we can do majority of if we need big work to fields, stuff like that.
Yep.
But basing it all around team schedules, event schedules, operationally wise, like it's a lot of that work. So.
And how important has it been since you've, really climbed the ranks with the Crew to formulate a crew of your own and have people that you can be in the trenches with?
Yeah, and that's like my guys underneath me. Like we've been together now for probably 4 or 5 years. A few of them. We got some new staff members who have been great to add to the staff, who fit right in. Transition's been great. So like just having those guys and being able to trust them to run with either taking on new responsibilities, new roles, or when we get added things for certain events, being able to just say, hey, we need this done, and they go and knock it out of the park. So
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm really, now my mind's just like, okay, so how do you have time for groups like OTF?
Yeah.
But I can imagine it's because it's had an impact in some way that you're like, this is a worthwhile endeavor. So really, what has a group like OTF or industry groups really done for you in your career?
So I would say industry groups have been where I've started. Even going back to college, I started at the Ohio Turf Research Facility, working there for 3 years out of my college. So that's kind of where I was taught about OTF, learned about it, did a lot of networking that way, met some mentors through that, and I just kind of, from that day bought into at least OTF industry, and that's where I've grown into, whether it be OTF, Ohio Sports Field Managers Association, both of those boards, being on both of those. It's just kind of driven me to just keep rising in the ranks on those and giving back to our industry, making those connections, whether it be partners, other colleagues, different sectors of the industry, which is really cool for me. So
definitely. And we were talking, a theme that has kind of emerged from today when talking about OTF is that it's really useful not only for the network, but also to have like a third party network, because when you are in a day-to-day job like yours, where it's just like, we got to grind every single day. It's like the guy next to you might have that same pair of eyes looking at the problem. So if you can call someone from this network and be like, okay, well, how did you do it? Or even just be able to vent to them and not unleash on your poor crew members.
Exactly. It's nice to have a different perspective or an outside perspective who isn't in the trenches with you every day in certain aspects, but it's also good to hear, new ideas. I'm big on trying new things, new technologies. So that's always been good to have for my sake, is just having those good connections in the industry to go to when needed.
Definitely. And for me, in my mind, there are certain places in the industry where it's like, I just don't imagine that they have a hard time getting labor, because it is this like, oh, this is like the birthplace of turfgrass or what have, like some of those are like the Boston Red Sox crew. Like everyone wants to be on that crew. But really the Columbus crew is one of those in my mind as well, especially being so, close in proximity to the Ohio State. And just the fact that you can get this incredible education, but then also work at this incredible venue and just work with, individuals who are also just like elevating the game. Do you guys experience that at all, where you feel like, okay, we've got a leg up on the labor?
No, I think it's taken me a few years to realize we have a great group within our grounds department that has been together for so long that we come accustomed to things, but you look outside of our little circle, I would say, and you look at other teams throughout the league or other sports in general, and you're like, okay, everybody likes to nitpick little things here and there, but you realize how good you actually have it, whether it be for us, our new stadiums, new training facilities, an ownership group that is very supportive to us when we need certain equipment, budget things, good bosses to work around, and then on the team side, working with the team who have been very easy to work with, you realize real quickly, you're in a good position, and it's nice to know that, and then try to support others who aren't in that exact position, because you hear, horror stories or stuff like that, not getting along with coaches or having issues. And then you take your step back and have that different perspective. Okay, it could be worse, but we're actually in a really good position with where we're at and everything we have around us and the support. So,
and you mentioned mentors earlier, and now, you're definitely in the position where you are a mentor yourself. Has that been fulfilling for you and almost refueled your fire for, going day in and day out in this gig?
Yeah, I think that's one of my I would say 5 to 10 year goals here over the next 5 to 10 years in the industry is try to be those a mentor for people who are younger than me or coming up in this industry, trying to let them learn on their own, but also teach. That's the hardest thing that I would say I've gone through in my career, because I'm very specific on certain things, but it's letting people learn on their own. And, sometimes people have to learn through failures, but also never getting mad at those failures. Just letting them learn, grow, and then like trying to teach through that. And like, that's been my motto, is always trying to stay positive through anything in life. Yep. So
definitely. I saw you unmuting yourself. I thought maybe you had a question.
No, I was muting
myself. That's not allowed. Go back.
Go back to mute, young man.
Oh, goodness. Thank you. Well, you mentioned failures, and I was going to make a joke because I can't, I can't relate, Yep. Right, Chris?
Oh, boy.
But no, you were talking about, those 5 to 10 year goals. And I think that, especially at the end of the year, it's whether, somebody forces you to do a review or you just are in that, end of year in review time setting. It's hard to look back and be like, okay, what was the main pillar that I wanted to accomplish this year? And did I do so? Yep. And then, formulate what those goals look like in the next year when there are so many different elements like the mentorship, like the coaches' relationships, like the staying on top of the events and making sure you get the maintenance in. Yep. So I also think groups like this help you stay on top of those professional development goals as well.
For sure. Like just, sitting in through a couple of the talks and, thinking that other teams or other sports should have great relationships between their groundskeeper and coaching staff, and hearing that they don't. It's like, it's very eye opening to be like, okay, like this has always been a goal of mine, is to have good relationships with those coaches, because then when hopefully an issue never arises, but when they do, it's easy to have those conversations and work through it together as a team versus, yelling and screaming match or anything like that. Yeah. So, which you never want coming from a guy who just grows grass for a living. So, so.
I get that. And, I just totally lost my train of thought, which literally never happens. That's scary.
You're aging.
I know. What does this mean? But no, the professional development of it all, it's hard to keep up with, but it's good that groups like this can really keep us anchored in that. But also just, it's not coming to me. I tried to talk myself back into the question and I couldn't find it.
This is a first, Andrew.
Okay. It really is.
You win an award.
You've stumped me. Goodness.
For me, at least, like the professional development side of OTF and these other organizations, SFMA, OSFMA, for me, I like to, which I haven't been able to go to SFMA for the past few years, is being able to see people I haven't been able to see, reconnect.
Yes, yeah.
Former bosses like Weston Applefeller's here at OTF this week.
That guy.
And, that guy. That's why I tell him he works for FIFA now. He's at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So,
we had to kiss a ring today. It was weird.
Yeah, So
I don't. I just
and
can't.
your guys' former coworkers. So
former co-host as well.
Yep.
The leftist in the dust.
Yep.
But I am here to report that the question has come back to me. Thank the Lord that I haven't lost my mind completely. But as far as soccer goes, it's exciting. It's lots of buzz right now.
Yep.
What do you hope that brings, whether it's to our profession or, just to our industry? What do you hope that really helps with things?
I think over the next year, you're going to see at least from the soccer perspective, the industry grow. Just through this World Cup and everything involved with it, I'm very excited to see from an outsider's perspective, just all the different technology that we're able to accomplish in stadiums around the U.S. and the other Canada and Mexico, just to see those and knock on wood, go through very successfully with Weston's team and everyone involved. But just seeing that technology and then maybe down the road being able to implement that, whether it be for NFL or other indoor stadiums, for shorter periods of time to, grow our industry and get as much grass out there as possible.
Definitely.
So that is the exciting part. And soccer, is the world sport. So it's exciting to just showcase it here in the U.S. and hopefully skyrocket from there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I hope that it, is also that we don't miss the opportunity to spotlight our industry alongside it. I think that there are so many eyes, and we're very prone to be like, okay, we want to be in the background. If we don't want anyone talking about us, because if they are, it's typically, it's in the past with big events like this, it's in a negative way. So it's how do we positively showcase our industry before it becomes, a conversation that we no longer have control of.
And that's why I like to be involved in these industry perspectives too, is because, like with our job, we're a major factor in our team on a daily basis. But like you said, until an issue arises, that's when we get pointed out. It's not necessarily for all hey, the field played great this week or something like that. So it's kind of not demoralizing from our perspective, but it can, you're working through it, grinding through a whole long season, and you're busting your tail, and field's been great, been playing great, but you don't always get that recognition. Yeah. So being able to hear stories and have people get that recognition that they deserve is very nice for our industry. So.
And remind me, like your tour for Origin, you loved playing soccer, correct?
Golf.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So you had a love for, the sport of it all. And that's kind of what brought you to the industry. So what a missed opportunity would be to not capture all of these young fans that obviously not all of them are going to make it to the World Cup one day, but we could get them close to the game in some way.
Yeah. And for example, like we have an employee on our staff who didn't have any groundskeeping background, but loved soccer.
Yep.
And he says to this day, I will work in soccer as long as I can because I still love the sport. And he's learned how to become a groundskeeper, and he loves it every day. And it's just bringing that positive attitude. And that like, you're not always going to make it to the highest point, with a sport. So what else can you do to affect that sport moving down the road? So
I love it. And what are those like innate qualities that you need to see in a crew member? Because like you said, you don't necessarily need to have a 4-year degree or a ton of experience coming into it, but what do you need to see from them to know like, okay, we can make this work?
What I've learned over the years is, you got to have the willingness to learn. And then you got to have some attention to detail, at least in our industry, on the professional side, because coaches are always going to have that attention to detail. So you want to be that one step ahead, like, okay, we've already got that planned out. And then for us, our season gets long, so it's just trying to stay positive. And just at the end of the day, being a hard worker. Like there's going to be days that we've got long hours, hard stuff, things we don't necessarily want to do, but we know it's part of our job. So that goes a long way in our industry. So,
and really, like in terms of your leadership, how do you get people through those hard days when it's long and the list is full of things that you're like, I know this isn't everybody's favorite, but we've got to do it.
It's funny. Like over the years, you learn people's personalities and traits, and you try to do the best to help them through those hard moments. I would say in our shop at our training facility, there's always a lot of snacks.
Nice.
And like, whether it be energy drinks, pops, just to get those guys like, okay, we've got some hard things to do, but let's go have a snack or a candy bar or some chips, like just to keep them motivated a little bit. Food. I'm a big food motivated
Me too.
person,
I can't even tell you.
Like it could be a little bit partially for myself, but I also want those guys to
Chris knows if he wants you to come to the office, there has to be lunch plans. And
we're always talking about lunch plans too. So
you're right about managing people, though. Everyone has different personalities. So for Meg, I just tell her the opposite of what I wanted to do, and then she does what I really needed to do.
Well, when you were saying it, the eye roll that I saw from his corner, I was like, oh, goodness. What is he thinking about?
Hey, Meg, do this. And she'll do the opposite. It's perfect.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. And so I remember when we were talking with folks at SFMA last year about the World Cup and everything, there was a big, I wouldn't say fear, but just like concern on where are all of these overflow events going to go to in the terms of like, you know, MetLife's main focus is going to be World Cup for a good few months. And they may be able to sprinkle in a few other things here and there, but really this is, you know, the World Cup, folks. So how are we managing all of those events that were at MetLife? Now, you know, where do they go? And what have you seen? Are those things just disappearing, or who is really, is it, you know, stadiums like yours that are kind of taking over those kind of projects?
So I think we don't quite know what's the full outlook yet, but once we get a team chosen to be hopefully at our training facility for the World Cup, we're going to have to shift focus because we still have teams. Now, MLS will shut down for a little bit, but not for the full, I think, 6 weeks of the World Cup. So we're going to have to shift and pivot to have our team, because our full training facility will get taken over by that international team. So then our first team, second team, any teams that use our facility don't have a home. So we're going to have to pivot and either use our stadium downtown or find other options to temporarily use until the World Cup. So it's going to be another operationally logistical challenge, but you know, we've done a good job preparing for that and to the best that we can with what information we have. So
at the local park, Brian DeMay better get out there and fix all the fields. But yeah, it is interesting to see the domino effect, because there will be so many people that will tune in for the World Cup and obviously not even think about all those components about, you know, where were these people, you know, training and doing all those other things. So again, I just hope it's an opportunity to kind of spotlight all the different elements that go into it.
And the way I look at it is it's a new challenge. You know, it's something that's very, at the end of the day, it will be very fulfilling because you can say you helped with the 2026 World Cup, but it'll be a challenge that who knows if we'll ever see that again in our lifetime. So just another challenge to the challenge book. So
I love it. Well, we had Pam Sharon on earlier today, and I did try and get her to admit who her favorite student was of all time. Were you ever a student of Pam's?
I was.
Okay, okay.
So that's like the heart. Pam and I have a great relationship, but you know, back in school, I was more golf focused, so I wasn't the sports turf.
You were
student.
giving her the cold shoulder at the time.
Maybe a little. No, it was just I was more. I did most of my internships on the golf side, so I didn't. Maybe I wasn't as sports focused back then. So,
well, your boss Ben Jackson, his name floated around in the conversation. Weston, she would not obviously name
those
a
two
favorite, but I can imagine that those two hold high regard. And that is cool that, you know, you work at a facility that two like industry giants really have come out of, made their career at, and what does that mean to you, or does that have you aspiring to be or do different things, or how does that really impact you?
I think it's just showed me different management styles of my current boss and my previous boss. Just seeing how different management styles work, and just like it does drive you to like have that extra motivation to, you know, if someday an opportunity like that comes about, like it's out there, but you know, just different perspective.
Definitely. So. And is Jack Sherritt a member of your crew?
He is not on the day-to-day. He does come over and help us.
Okay.
He's mainly based out of the Scott's Miracle Grove field.
Very cool.
But yeah, Jack is a great addition to our staff this year. pretty funny guy. So
I love it. Well, and I just think it's so cool to have that full circle moment for, I'm sure Pam, it's really cool, but also for anyone that's sat in her classroom to then, work alongside her.
Yeah. We're still, I think Pam knows this, we're still pushing him hard to, maybe go into turf. So we're doing our best. So
she said on the podcast, she was pretty positive he would.
Yep.
So your impact has worked.
Good. And it's not just it's our whole staff. He's fit in very well with our staff.
Very cool. And so what are the things that, whether it's a goal or whether you already have this in practice that get you away from the gig? You mentioned you love golf, but right now in Columbus, Ohio, that's not really in the cards. So how do you keep that brain healthy and make sure that you're able to kind of walk away from it and decompress? Yeah,
like during the season, it's definitely golf. Like everybody around me knows that if I'm out golfing, it's because I just need a little break, you know? And that's also like how I've networked through the industry. You make those connections, whether it be a vendor, somebody else who loves golf, or somebody who works on it. So that's how this industry has helped me. But, there's other things, just hanging out with friends, trying new food places. I love bourbon as well. So me and some friends love to try that. And then also there's other like small little hobbies that I have at like home, just, puzzle making,
Dude, I love puzzles. I was hoping you were going to say puzzles.
Just to stimulate the mind, like stuff like that.
What's your favorite brand of puzzles?
What?
It's been, see, I personally tell myself I won't do any puzzle under 1,000. So,
wow. Okay.
So I like the big, I like the big puzzles just because it will take a while and it's a few week process.
See, my husband and I, we'll do 1,000, but we like to set out at the start of the night. We'll have a drink and we want to be able to accomplish it before we go to bed.
Okay.
So we usually do 500 to 1,000.
Yep.
And it's like a challenge.
Yep.
And it's like, and then if the kids, we can't get them to go to sleep, it's like an even more fun challenge. Like someone has to walk away and now you're left at the puzzle alone.
Yeah, because some people know that I love puzzles and they'll hand me like a 500 and I'm like, okay, like you said, like, can I challenge myself to do this in
4
sitting. Hours?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Or like those.
I love it.
This is titillating.
Yep.
It's and so my favorite brand, if you haven't tried them, they're actually a kids brand.
Okay.
It's called Mud Puppy.
Mud Puppy.
But their puzzles, the reason I love them is once you get up to the 1,000, there's a lot of just like black or white pieces. But most of the pieces have like a form of the picture on it.
Okay.
And you're like, I have no idea. You are like, oh, that was an eyeball.
Yep.
But like you have some clue. And I swear. So yeah, it became my form of like total relaxation this summer.
So I can participate in this conversation.
Oh, really?
I am not a puzzle
Okay.
person. I hate puzzles. I do not find them fun at all. They're not relaxing. The only puzzle I like are the big wooden ones with the handle. You can pull up the piece.
Okay.
You have to
yes.
put it back into the slot. That's my kind of puzzle.
Yeah.
But my wife is a puzzle person, and she did one last year. It was like 2,000 pieces.
Oh, and it was clear, right?
Clear.
Oh,
crazy.
I have not challenged myself to that yet. Now, I think I could do it if all the pieces were a little different. Like I like, it's very hard to me when all the puzzle pieces are the exact same.
Same, yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I could talk puzzles for days. And it's funny because my brother used to be big into puzzles and he would like make them and give them to people as gifts. And I would rag on him so bad. I was like, nobody wants your puzzles.
Yeah.
Like, this is, and the way that I became obsessed. And so you have to check out Mud Puppy.
Okay.
It's
Mud Puppy.
really good and the pieces are high quality. So that's what I go for. And yeah, so it was a quick divergent, but I just knew you were going to say puzzles.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope he says puzzles.
Yep.
Wow.
I just got a vibe.
If you say books too, she'll really.
Yeah, if you say books, then the whole thing is off the rails.
I'm not fully into books. I just, that was a new goal this past year, and started back into reading books. So not quite
Well,
there.
I will say, I think that men in particular, and I'm not putting anyone in a box, but for some reason they think when they read a book, it has to like have some transactional, like you have to learn something from it, or it has to be like educational in some sort. So they're not as fun to read. But like for me, I'm never reading anything it's just like a TV show, but in a book. So my husband's always like, well, I can't just read a fiction. And I'm like, yes, you can. Like you don't have to read, all these like Kubernetes for dummies like that. You don't need that. Just have some fun. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents on the books. But when I get a woman on the podcast, that's usually my first question. I'm like, what books have you been reading?
I just don't read. I was an English major and I read too much in college and it scarred me.
You were an English major?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you were like a political science or like pre-law. Because didn't you start your career in like...
I did.
Okay.
In lobbying and government affairs, yeah.
How with an English degree? Were you just writing?
Yeah.
Like government things?
Just fall into things in life.
Things.
You fall into things.
Yeah, I tried to go back and become an English degree after having a journalism degree so that I could be an English teacher.
Well, it's
and they said, we don't need you corrupting anybody's like mind. Yeah. But goodness, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Chris knows way too much about me because I never stop talking. And then sometimes I'll stop and be like, I know very little about you.
The job interview was so easy. She did all the talking.
Yep.
Truly. He revealed this year that he plays the guitar or something.
I do.
And I was like, what?
Who are you?
Yeah.
I've worked for you for almost 7 years. But no, it is cool. We were talking this morning when we came in because OTF really is where my origin story starts.
It is.
Chris brought me here.
3 months in?
Yeah, 3 months into the gig. And I was already pregnant 3 months into the gig. Because I was.
Wow.
Maybe I wasn't telling people yet. But I remember I got out of your car and I had to run to the closest coffee shop because I had to pee so bad.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes. And that was one of my main questions in the interview is what does the maternity policy look like? So he knew it was coming. So we walked the floor here and I was very impressed by the diversity of the OTF community. And so him and I always joke about that now.
This was her, it was supposed to be her warm up for the STMA at the time.
Yep.
STMA, SFMA.
Yep.
Yep. And then, we went to West Palm that year and the rest is history.
The world shut down after that.
Yep. True that. Yeah, we were patient zero after Palm Beach.
Now we've made your interview about us.
No, that's okay.
This happens a lot.
I would love to do more podcasts. So
it's the only way to get me talking these things.
But those are the best episodes when it gets away from, because a lot of times I feel like I'm putting people on the spot, like I'm conducting their yearly review, where I'm like, so what do you see for yourself?
Yeah, what are your 2026 goals?
Yes.
Yeah, I hope my boss doesn't hear this. I hope my boss.
Or when Chris asked me, he was like, "Did you meet your goals last year?" And I was like, "Did I make goals last year?"
Hey, I did hear a goal through Pioneers Company that the podcast is going to have James on.
Yes.
James Lavity, yes.
You are correct. I heard straight from Doug's mouth, actually.
Shout out to James. Yeah.
Yes.
James Lavity, 2026, Groundskeeper Chat.
Yes. Well, I heard that it was for 2025, so he has to make it happen before the end of the year. Otherwise, he doesn't get his Christmas bonus. And it goes right to me. You didn't hear this?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, goodness.
Hope you got to listen to this.
You got to I know this would be detrimental if you didn't hear this. Well, Andrew, we appreciate you joining us. Will you be at SFMA this year? I didn't.
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, wonderful.
The flights are booked now.
Look at that.
If I
now, how much were your flights?
I don't even know.
Ours were like $900 for some reason.
Crazy.
Well, we have the pro soccer symposium.
Oh, yes.
Before,
nice.
so we're actually flying into Austin.
Okay.
For Friday, Saturday, Sunday before.
Okay.
And then we'll bus up to Dallas, Fort Worth.
Okay.
Fort Worth.
So maybe they were more affordable.
Probably a little different. But yes, as of now, the plan is to be there. Now, if I get pulled away for our spring training or whatever preseason down in Florida, that has kept me away the last
from
few
the past.
years. Yep.
Well, you'll get to hopefully cross paths with Maritza Martinez son at the symposium.
Yep.
You've never
not
met
her? Nope.
Oh, she's a delight.
Okay.
And she just bought an Airstream.
Okay.
And it's like completely gutting it and renovating it. And that's a journey in itself. That will have to be a whole nother podcast.
Yep.
That's probably what I should have her on for in Fort Worth. It's just an Airstream update.
So is the Groundskeeper Chats going to Fort Worth as well?
They are.
Okay.
They will be there.
Well, let us know if you need some more participants. So.
If you need
Become
to,
victims.
yes, if you need to elect a victim, please send them our way.
Or we could just have my whole crew come.
We would love that.
I'll volunteer them.
We would love that. They
Shout
could do
out
like
to Nate, Noah, Cam, and Nick will all be joining me.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes with
I
them.
love
That'd be
it.
awesome.
Yep.
It's a 2026 goal of theirs,
Yep.
so they have to go.
Ooh,
So-
I like it.
Well, thank you, Andrew. We appreciate it.
No,
Thank
thank you.